The United States of America is full of breathtaking parks, forest landmarks, and so forth. It is full of beautiful land that may not be standing without the efforts brought forth by one man. Roosevelt authorized the early conservation movement, posing the mere thought that America's land management was something important. Little did he know that just decades into the future, he has made an astonishing impact to America's society. In the 19th century, the prompt industrialization of the United States left their natural resources consumed and less plentiful. Coal, minerals, and wood are a few examples of what were taken and used inefficiently during this time. Factories, builders, and the overall growth of the USA during this time were crucial to taking away what America was once plentiful of. In 1890, a frontier had closed, and many people of high authority and even those lower down in classes, including politicians and mere citizens, had started to see the western land as an unlimited space to chop trees, mine for coal, and hunt game such as oxen, bulls, birds, etc. The land had become a free designated area. These acts of defiance from a large number of big companies had slowly started to leave the land in a tethered state due to America's ever-growing need for wood and other resources. A man called John Muir, who is also fairly well known as John of the Mountains, was determined to help conservation move along. Muir created the Sierra Club, which was to help move along the conservation organization to protect the western areas. His idea was that to protect the areas of wilderness, they simply should not be used. He said that conservation should stand for the greatest good for the greatest number and for the longest time. His words inspired many people to begin conserving the land they called their home. The three main supporters of conserving the land were Muir, Paddle, and Pinchot. However, they needed someone of higher power to set them off on their journey in helping to conserve America before it was needed to be rebuilt. The man that they decided to rely on was Thomas Roosevelt. He was of a higher political stance than the rest and was a crucial part to get the plan underway. He became president in 1901, became the leader that was much needed for the conservation movement group, and for it to become something bigger. He knew that it was not only important to use enough resources for the day and task at hand, however, he also knew it was imperative to leave enough resources for the days, months, and years to come. Before Roosevelt became president, the usual routine was to harvest all of the land and then farm it, then to move on rather than try to keep the land for the next generation. This left many patches of land tethered in a miserable state since they had simply been abandoned rather than cared for. Thomas decided it was best to pass the New Lands Reclamation Act in 1907 to reclaim the barren land that possessed as unusable for farming once more. One of the main projects that this act helped to complete was the creation of the 300-foot Roosevelt Dam. Rightfully named after Thomas Roosevelt, it is now one of the largest artificial bodies of water in the world. The Roosevelt Dam served at the time as a heavily relied upon source of water for drinking and farming, mainly helping to restructure the once unusable land into proper farming grounds for crops and trees. The farmers began to benefit from this act, and the land was used once again. Things were beginning to change for the better thanks to Theodore Roosevelt. The other act that Theodore Roosevelt had begun was one that invested in helping to save the animals. Before Theodore Roosevelt was president, it was clear that no other president had made it a priority to pay any sort of attention to the wildlife in the least, much less the animals as well. When he had come and gone, He knew that the forest would all have to be monitored to make sure the wood was being used wisely. However, he needn't make it so that the trees were in an unnatural state of being. He released the Transfer Act in 1905, which ensured the safety and conservation of all the forests he had power over. There are many examples all over the country which remind us of how many men made forests exist thanks to Roosevelt. Soon after, he even developed an education system sole for the purpose to teach those who do not understand about why saving our planet is so important. Roosevelt had accomplished a lot in his time of being president. He had proved many people wrong when they thought that all of the resources provided by the United States were limitless, and prevented the mass devastation of the entire USA from lack of all useful minerals. To this day, Roosevelt's accomplishments prove astounding and will not be forgotten by the people of now. He has proven to be brave, determined, and he was able to make such a wonderful change to the USA. President Theodore Roosevelt will be looked back upon when we ourselves need inspiration to save what we have now before it is completely gone.